It is often said that Christmas is a day for families to be together and to celebrate oneness and togetherness. And so it seems appropriate that on this Sunday after Christmas, that we should celebrate the Holy Family of Nazareth, the family of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. This feast, I believe, shows that they too were a human family, as we are, and a family who always sought to do God's will. One of my favorite Gospels is the opening verses of the Gospel of Matthew. I don't know if it comes to mind, just having said that, but if I started reading it to you, you would know what I'm talking about. It's the genealogy of Jesus Christ, son of David, son of Abraham, as Matthew says at the beginning. These verses are really the scriptural analogy of Ancestry.com, written long before we knew anything about DNA or other scientific genetic capabilities. Most people feel, I think, priests included, that the gospel is boring, that it's repetitive and uninteresting. However, I like it, not just because it's a challenge to get all the strange-sounding Old Testament names right. Do we have any Abijahs in the congregation today? That's one of the names listed. But I like it because it gives Jesus human background. So much of the Gospels focus on his divine origin, that he was the Son of God, that we tend to forget, I think, that Jesus was also fully human and came from a human family just as we do. I'm going to spare you reading the gospel, as I said. But we might think that Jesus, because of who he was, came from a line of illustrious figures, that they were all divinely inspired. Well, that is not the case, at least if Matthew has the genealogy right. The list of Jesus' ancestors is a long line of characters. Yes, some were saints, but there's lots of sinners, cheats, prostitutes, and murderers. There were kings, insiders and outsiders, great and not so great. But out of them all, out of this long list of humans with all their foibles and inadequacies and sins and all that, out of them all came Jesus the Christ, Savior and Redeemer. This list of Jesus' ancestors gives credence, I think, to what I like to say on the Feast of All Saints. And that is that not all saints were perfect. Not all saints were perfect. Every saint has a past. Every sinner has a future. Now think of that. Every saint has a past. Every sinner has a future. In other words, there's a chance for all of us. St. John wrote in today's second reading, "What we shall be has not yet been revealed. But we know that when it is revealed, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is." We shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. All it takes to be a saint, in other words, is to be in heaven, whether the church recognizes that we're there or not. Our goal is to try to live as best we can by doing God's will on earth. And that's what Jesus was doing in today's gospel, when oddly, he stayed behind in Jerusalem after Mary and Joseph had presented him in the temple at age 12, as was required by Jewish law. But Jesus had to show obedience also to his Father in heaven. And so it is for us Christians too. We must be obedient to God as well as to our earthly families. As the gospel said, Jesus became obedient to them when they went down to Nazareth. Once we do this, once we seek to be obedient to God as well as our earthly families, this will assure us of a place in the home our Father has prepared for us in heaven. That should be the goal of our life on earth, as it was for Jesus, our brother, God's Son.